Are you tired of losing to the One Ring? Well, in today's video, we're gonna be playing the best deck against other One Ring lists. This is a Gruul mid-range list that I brewed that is trying to abuse Liquid Metal Torque and Liquid Metal Coating with Artifact Destruction. The way this deck works is you use one of these two cards to turn a permanent into an artifact, and then you can use your Cast Into the Fire, Ancient Grudge, or Haywire Might to kill any of their permanents. It is quite easy to do, and it is insanely powerful against the One Ring. This is because Haywire Might is such a good solution to the card, and we're running 4 Urza Sagas so we can consistently find it. So in today's video, we're gonna be taking this crazy brew, turning stuff into artifacts, and getting the cheapest Vindicates known to man. Match 1, we are on the draw, and our hand's a little too weak, so we get them all. And our 6 is much stronger, we'll put back a Cast and Fire. One goes turn 1 Force into a Haywire Might. Find another Coating, we'll play out our Mire, fetch Shock, and then play out our Ragavan. When it goes straight to combat, we will not block. And then they play out a Pyrite Spellbomb and a Stomping Ground. Another land for us, we will attack in. And unfortunately, they do use their Spellbomb to kill our Ragavan. But we're going to play out our Saga, and we're going to cast into fire their Haywire Might. They play out a Boseiju into a Fable. And we've top deck a Boseiju, not horrible. And we'll play out an Arid Mesa. And they do not use the Fable ability at all. Going straight to combat, and we're going to do nothing. And they shock in a Blood Crypt, cast into Thoughtseize. And they take one of our Coatings, we'll fetch out a Mountain, and make a Construct. Oh, they have a Bowmasters. That's so annoying. We do top deck a Ragavan. We'll make another Construct. And we'll pick up our Haywire Might, and then play out a Foothills. And I think we got to get rid of this Fable now, unfortunately. But they have an Unholy Heat for our Haywire Might. Then in that case, we will fetch Shock, and we will play out a Ragavan. They flip their Fable, go straight to combat with their Goblin Shaman. Then they pick up their Giganta, playing out a Verdant. And another Ragavan for us. Unfortunately, we're going to have to play out a Coating into a Boseiju on this Reflection. So we'll just do that now. They play out a Research Desk, popping it right away. Oh no, those are 2 good ones. It looks like they're going to play out a Tarmogoyf here, and no attacks from them. And we find another land off the top. We'll play that out and pass the opponent. They unearth their Mistress Disc, cracking it right away. Oh no, they get a Wrenn 6. Yep, and they play that out, down ticking on her Ragavan, and they attack him with 2 creatures. We will block the Shaman, and then we'll activate our Liquid Metal Coating, making one of our lands into an artifact, which means this will become a 3/3. Oh, they have another Wrenn 6, and we find a Liquid Metal Torque. That's not going to do it, so let's get on to sideboarding. We're going to bring in 1 Relic Opportunist and take out a Liquid Metal Coating. Game 2, our starter looks quite strong. We'll go turn 1 Foothills. When it goes turn 1 Fetch Shock for a Thoughtseize, and they take our Karn the Great Creator. Interesting. And we top deck a Fable, so we'll play out our Saga, and then play out a Liquid Metal Torque. When it plays out a Forest into a Tarmogoyf, and we find another Saga, so we'll play out an Urza Saga, and then cast out a Fable. When it plays out a Wrenn 6, ticking up on their Verdant, and then they run out a Saga into a Pithy Needle, naming our Karn the Great Creator. We find another land. We'll loot away our Saga and our Bolt, find a Haywire Might, and with our first Saga, we're just going to float a mana, picking up a Relic, and then we'll play out our Haywire Might, attacking their Wrenn. Then we will sacrifice our Haywire Might, getting rid of their Urza Saga, and we'll shock in their Stomping Grounds so that we can hold up our Saga, and they find another Saga. Then they take up with their Wrenn, which is fine, and play out a Fable of their own, and no attacks from them. So on an end step, we will activate our Urza Saga, and we find another land, and before Saga goes away, we will make another Construct, picking up a Haywire Might, and flipping our Reflection. Then we'll shock in our Stomping Grounds, and go to combat with our team, and we'll attack the opponent with both of these. And they go for a double block on our Construct, which is fine, so we will just pop our Relic. Oh, finding Ancient Grudge. That's so good. So we are going to sacrifice our Haywire Might, taking out their Saga, and then we'll pass back. They use the Fable ability, looting away 2 lands. And they use a Wrenn 6 to downtick on our Reflection, probably mean they have a second one. Oh, they have Bowmasters. Then they play out a Swamp into a Haywire Might. Ooh, we find another Torque, so we'll play that. And then we'll play out our Mesa and go to combat, attacking it with the team. And they chump block both of our Constructs. And we're going to try and refrain from showing them this Ancient Grudge. So we'll fetch out a Mountain, and then cast out our Karn, which we cannot activate, but it's still nice to have it on the battlefield. They play out a Foothills, fetch shocking for a Stomping Ground, down ticking with their Wrenn 6, and then playing out another Wrenn 6, and then they down tick again, killing our Goblin Shaman, and then they play out a Tarmogoyf. Ooh, top deck a Spyro. Alright, well, I guess we will kill their stuff. We'll make this Tarmogoyf into an artifact so that we can Ancient Grudge it, and then we will make their Reflection. Oh, before we can even do it, they concede. For game 3, we're going to take out another Coating for a Haywire Might. Game 3, our 7's a little too land heavy, so we got them all. And our 6 is way stronger. We'll put back an Ancient Grudge. When it goes turn 1 Blood Crypt into a Ragavan, and no Bolt for us, so we'll play out a Foothills. They go straight to combat, and Ragavan will connect. And it takes a Haywire Might off of our top, which they cast. And then they play out a Verdant. And we top deck a Karn, we'll play out our Forest, and hold up our Cast Into Fire. They go straight to combat again, and we will cast our Cast Into Fire, dealing 1 to each of their creatures. They play a Forest, and then pick up Giganta. We find another Karn, we'll shock in our Stomping Ground, and then play out a Fable. And our Shaman meets an Unholy Heat on our end step. They play out an Urza Saga into a Haywire Might. Then they sack their Haywire Might, getting rid of our Fable. Ooh, Ancient Grudge off the top is a good one. But we're just gonna play out our Torque. They play a Tap Tomb, and we find a Bolt. And on our end step, they make a Saga token. They make another Construct, picking up a Haywire Mite, and they attack in with a Construct, and we'll fire off a Bolt on that. And then they play out a Pyrite Spellbomb, and still on their end step, we'll go for an Ancient Grudge on their Haywire Mite, and they do sacrifice that to kill our Torque. And we do find a land here. We'll play it out and hold up our cast and our Ancient Grudge. They go straight to combat, poking us for 2. And they play out a Fable, and we'll flash back our Grudge, killing their Construct. And we do find a Haywire Mite. I'm not really sure how we're supposed to win this game, but we'll try and figure this out. I think we're just gonna play out our Karn and downtick for an Ensnaring Bridge. And on the end step, they do fire off a Heat, killing our Karn. They discard a Terminate off the Fable and then attack us in with their Shaman. Then they play out a Giganta, and we find a Liquid Metal Torque, so we'll play that, and then we'll play out our Ensnaring Bridge. They have a Terra Sunder for our Ensnaring Bridge, and then attack us for 7. And we find another land. At this point, there's nothing we can do, so we'll scoop it up and get on to match 2. Match 2, we're on the draw, and our hand looks fine. They go turn 1 Besage You into a halfling. We'll shock in our Stomping Grounds and fire off a Bolt. They play out a Flood Strain into another halfling. We find another Fable. We'll play out our Foothills and then play a Haywire Mite. They untap Prismatic Ending our Haywire Mite. Then they play out a Heath, attacking in for 1. And we top deck a Torque. Pretty good draw, but we're going to slam a Fable here. And it ends up resolving, and on our end step, they fetch out a Triumph. They play out a Temple Garden. They shock in a Temple Garden and then evoke out a Fury, taking out our Shaman. And they poke in for 1 again. We find a Ragvan. We'll pitch that and our Foothills. Find an Ancient Grudge, so we'll play out our Mesa, fetch out a Mountain, then play out our Torque into a Fable. And they go to combat with their halfling, and we're not going to block because of Renin 6 possibly. And then after combat, they play out a One Ring. And we were prepared for this our whole life, folks. We even find a Coding, and we're not going to use Fable here. We'll attack in with our Shaman, then we'll play out our Karn, and we'll downtick, Pithing Needle, playing it out via our Treasure, and then naming the One Ring with it. And on their upkeep, we will target the halfling with our Torque, meaning that they cannot tap it for a mana. An opponent scoops it up on the spot. Let's get on to sideboarding. And we don't want anything here, so we'll just submit. Game 2, we'll keep our 7. They go turn 1 Strand. We find another Cast into Fire. We'll play out our Tap Stomping Ground. They play out a Windswept Teeth. We'll play out our Foothills, fetch Shocking, and then play out our Renin 6. Taking up, getting back a land. They play out a Misty, doing nothing. And we find a Ragavan. We'll fetch out a Mountain, and then we're going to cast our Spyro. And we're going to discard a Ren and a land. Picking up a Saga, and we'll tick up on one of our lands. They shock in a Sacred Foundry, and then play out an Omna. We'll play out our Saga, then we'll play out our Torque, and tick up our Ren. And we'll attack in with our team, and then we will make Omnath an artifact, and we'll cast an Ancient Grudge, killing it. They play out a Forest into an Elesh Norn, but do we have a Rude Awakening for them? And we find another Ancient Grudge. So we'll turn Elesh Norn into an artifact, flashing back our Grudge, killing it. And then we will dash out our Ragman, attacking the opponent, exiling a Hallowed Moonlight, and our opponent did think that we're on some type of creativity deck, so that kind of makes sense now. Then we'll tick up our Ren and pass the opponent, and they scoop it up. Let's get on to match number 3. Match 3, we're on the play, and our hand looks amazing. We'll go turn 1 Mountain, holding up Bolt. Opponent goes turn 1 Breathing Pool into a halfling, which we will Bolt, and we find another Bolt. We'll play out our Besage You, holding up Bolt, and they play out another halfling into a Windswept Teeth, and we will Bolt their halfling. We find a Foothills, we'll play out our Saga, and then play out our Fable. They shock in a Sacred Foundry, and then Prismatic Ending our Shaman, and we top deck an Ancient Grudge, so we will discard that and our land. Then we'll play out our Sokinzon, and then play a Haywire Mite. They play out a Renin 6, and they take up on their Windswept Teeth, and on their end step, we'll make a Construct, and we top deck another Fable, we'll make another Construct, and we'll pick up a Haywire Mite. Then we'll send the team at Renin, and they flash in a Leyline Binding, which in response to this, we will exile with our Haywire Mite, which means we get to keep our Construct, and Rin falls down to 1. Opponent plays out a Nissa, then ticks up with Rin, playing out a Windswept Teeth, making a mana, then finding a Stomping Ground, revealing an Omnath, and they play that out. And we do find a land here. We're going to activate a Reflection, copying a Construct, and then we'll attack in with all of our Constructs at the opponent. And they do have a Solitude here, taking out one of our Constructs, and they block one of our Constructs, killing it. And after combat, we will cast and fire, dealing 1 to both their creatures, which means we do kill the Omnath, and then we'll shock in our Stomping Ground. Opponent plays out a Strand, making a mana, and they fetch out an island, picking up another Omnath, and they have a Fury here. All right, let's see if we can top deck something. Find another land. Well, we'll shock it in and then play out our Spyro. And sadly, I don't think Karn's going to do it here. The opponent's just too far ahead, so we'll scoop it up and get on to sideboarding. Again, this is a non-sideboarding matchup, so we're just going to submit it back. Game 2, our 7 looks great. We'll go turn 1 Fetch Shock into a Ragavan. They go turn 1 Misty. We top deck a Karn. Good draw. We'll attack them with our Rag. Looks like they have a Bolt. Unfortunate. So we'll Fetch Shock again and play out our Rin, picking up on our Foothills. Opponent plays out a Halfling, and they miss a land drop. Oh my. We find another land. We will Bolt down their Halfling, tick up on our Mesa, and then play that out. No, they do find a land off the top, and a Rin's in their hand, of course, and they tick up on a Misty. And we top deck a Fable. We'll tick up on our Mesa, then we'll play out out our Mesa, fetching out a mountain, and we'll play out our Karn. This will down tick, getting a liquid metal coating. They cast out a pending, killing our Rin. Then they play out a Misty, down tick their Rin, pinging our Karn. We'll play out a Forest, and then play out a liquid metal coating. Then we'll target one of their lands, and then tick up on it with our Karn. Then play out a Fable. They cast out a pending, taking out our liquid metal coating. Then they tick up with the Rin, finding a Misty. And we find another Fable. We'll discard our lands, finding another Fable and a Mesa. We'll attack them for 2. Then we'll down tick our Karn, picking up the coating again. We'll play it out, target their Rin, then go to cast a Grudge on it, but then they concede. So let's get on to game 3. Game 3, we'll keep our 7. They go turn 1 Temple Garden into a Halfling, and we find an Ancient Grudge. We'll play out our Mountain and cast out a Ragavan. They cast a pending, taking out a Rag. We find a Beseju, we'll fetch Shock, and then play out our Rin, taking up on our land. They shock in the Steam Vents, and then play it to Fairy, taking up right away. We find a Saga, we will down tick on their Halfling, play our Foothills, and then play another Rin. And we'll use this one to down tick, killing the Halfling. They cast out a pending, taking out our Rin, and then they down tick with their Teferi, drawing a card, playing another land out. They top tick another Grudge, we'll play out our Saga, and then cast out our Karn, down ticking, picking up a liquid metal coating. Opponent plays out an Omnath, then they tick up with their Teferi, and it looks like they're missing a land drop. We find another Grudge. It's a little much, but that's okay. We'll play it out liquid metal coating, then we'll down tick with our Karn, and we'll pick up a Pithy Needle. We'll play that out, naming Teferi, then we'll shock in our Stomping Ground, target the Omnath with liquid metal coating, and then cast a Grudge on it. They play out our Rin 6, down ticking, killing our Karn. We find a Spyro, we will activate our Saga, making a construct, and we'll pick up a Haywire Mite. Then we'll play out our Beseju, target their Rin with our coating, and then we'll flash back our Grudge, killing their Rin. An opponent does nothing here. We find another Haywire Mite. We'll go to attack their Teferi down with our construct, and Teferi falls. So we'll play out our Spyro, and we'll discard a Haywire Mite and a Grudge. Find another Mite, target their Rogran Triumph with our coating, and we'll flash back our Grudge, killing it. Playing out another Haywire Mite. An opponent finds a Rin 6 off the top, taking up on a land, take down their Rin, and then attack them with everything else. And they evoke out a Solitude, killing our construct, which is fun. So we will just cast a 2-mana Vindicate on their Rin 6, and then we'll cast out a Fable. And opponent scoops it up. Let's get on to match number 4. Match number 4, we are on the draw, and hand looks amazing. Opponent goes turn 1 Triumph, we top deck a Fable, we'll play out our Flooded Strand, fetch Shock, and play out a Haywire Mite. They play out a tap Steam Vents, we top deck another land, we'll attack in with our Haywire Mite, then we'll Shock in the Stomping Ground, and play out a liquid metal coating. They play a Plains into a Teferi, and they bounce our Haywire Mite with it, and we top deck another Grudge. We'll target their land with our coating, and then we will cast an Ancient Grudge on it. Then we'll play out a Flooded Strand, fetch out a Mountain, and bolt down their Teferi. They play out a Forest into a Teferi, bouncing our coating. We top deck a Spyro, we'll play out our liquid metal coating again, and we're going to target their Steam Fence, and then flash back our Grudge, killing it. They fetch out a Triumph, and then play a Binding, taking down our coating, and they forget to tick up Teferi. Ooh, Ragavan, don't mind if I do. We'll dash up and attack the opponent. We exile a land, and then we'll play out our Haywire Mite. Oh, they have another land, crazy. And then they play out a One Ring, then they tick up the Teferi. Ooh, hello there, Karn. Supposed to play Fable as much as I'd love to play out the Karn, and then we'll poke their Teferi for 1, and they go to draw a card with their One Ring, so we will sacrifice our Haywire Mite, killing this. They tick up their Teferi, then play out a Rin, picking up an Undathra Triumph and playing it out. And in their main phase, they flash in a Binding, taking out our Fable. Ooh, that's a good one. We're going to dash out our Ragavan. We'll attack them with our Ragavan and their Teferi with our Shaman. And that exiles a land, so then we'll play out a Little Torque. Passing back to the opponent, they tick up with their Teferi, picking up a Steam Vents. They play out a Windswept Teeth into a Delighted Halfling. We'll play that, and we'll go to attack Teferi. And they do not block, so this means we can bolt down their Rin, and then we'll play out a Ragavan. And on the end step, they flash in a Solitude, exiling our Ragavan, and they attack in with their Solitude and no blocks from us. Another end step will turn their Binding that has our Fable into an artifact, and then we will Ancient Grudge it, and we get another trigger of Fable. And we find a Cast into Fire. I think we want all the cards in our hand. We'll attack in with the team, and no blocks from the opponent. So after combat, we'll use our Torque to make this Leyline Binding into an artifact and kill it with our Grudge. Then we'll play out a Karn, target one of their lands. Guess we'll do the Rogran Triumph. Then we'll tick up with our Karn on it, and we'll pass back. On it untaps, casting an ending on our Karn, and then they attack in with the team. We top deck our Ragavan. We will dash it out, and then attack in with the team. When we exile a Halfling, we'll target their blue source with our liquid metal coating, and then kill it with our Cast into Fire. Then we'll play out our Spyro. Oh my goodness, so many good cards. We'll play out our Rin, picking up on the land. Then we'll fetch Shock and play out their Halfling. Pretty sweet turn. And opponent scoops it up. Let's get on to sideboarding. And no sideboarding yet again. Game 2, our 7 looks great. They go turn 1 Strand, and we find an Ancient Grudge. And we might as well Shock in our Stomping Ground. They shock in a breeding pool doing nothing, and we find a cast into fire, so we're gonna shock in another stomping ground, because why not? They play out a delighted halfling, and then shock in a sacred foundry. So on that step, we'll bolt their halfling, and that resolves. We find a shatter skull smashing, bolt this in, and play out our fable, and that resolves strangely. Opponent uses besage you on their turn to get rid of our fable, which I'm pretty happy with. Then casting Apprentice back, and on the shaman and missing a land drop. Oh my. All right, this is a good draw. We'll play out our Spyro, and we'll discard Haywire Might and a Grudge, and play out our Urza's Saga, and dash out our Ragavan. And before we can attack, they solitude our Ragavan, pitching another ending. Untaps, playing out a Ren, taking up on the Strand and playing it out. We top deck another Karn. We'll go straight to combat, trying to take out this Ren. Wow, nothing from them. So we'll play out a Karn, and we will down tick, picking up a Coding. Opponent untaps, playing out a One Ring. That's fine with us. We top deck our Ren in 6. We'll float a mana off our Saga, picking up a Haywire Might. Then we'll play out a Liquid Metal Coating, and we're going to take out their Ragran Triumph. Then we'll play out a Ren in 6, taking up on our Urza Saga, play that out, and hold up our Cast into Fire. Opponent evokes out a Fury, trying to take out our Karn. So in response, we'll Haywire Might, getting rid of their One Ring, and then our Karn falls. And opponent scoops it up. Let's get on to match number 5. Match 5, we're on the draw, and our hand's a little too slow here, so we'll mull. And this is way better. We'll put back a Liquid Metal Torque. Opponent goes turn 1 Cliffs into a DRC. We top deck a Saga. We'll play out our Foothills, passing back. Oh, and they fetch Shock and play out a Ren in 6 of their own. And they tick up, getting a land back. And on the end step, we'll fetch Shock and bolt down this DRC. We top deck another Saga. We'll play one of them out, and then play out a Liquid Metal Torque. They fire off an Inquisition, taking our Ren in 6. Then they fetch out a Swamp, and then Thoughtseize us, taking our Fable. We find another Saga. We'll play one of them out. And it looks like opponent has their own Sagas. Then they pick up their Giganta from their companion zone. And on the end step, we will activate our Saga. And on the end step, they bolt down our Construct. Another land for us. We'll float a mana off one of our Sagas, picking up a Haywire Might, and we're gonna sack it right away, killing their Urza Saga. Then play out a Forest, passing back. They fetch out a Mountain, then tick up with their Ren. And on their end step, we'll make another Construct. Ooh, Besage you. We'll make another Construct, and we'll pick up a Haywire Might. Then we'll run out another Saga. We should attack the Ren. I'm not 100% sure about this though. And they do have a Bowmasters, which pings down our Haywire Might, and they chump block our Construct with their Orc token. They fetch Shock out a Overgrown Tomb, and then tick up the Written. Oh, and they have a Maelstrom Pulse? What the? Poking us in for 1. We find another land, unfortunate. Well, we'll play that out, and we'll pass the opponent. And on their upkeep, we will turn Ren into an artifact, and we will Besage you it. They dash out a Ragavan, and attack in for 3. Oh my god, the first on land they get. They play out our Fable, and on that step, we'll fetch out a land. Alright, Ancient Grudge is not a bad one. We make a Construct, picking up a Haywire Might, and we'll pass back. And we might as well just kill this Fable now. Opponent plays out a land and attacks in, and they play out a Giganta into a Tarmogoyf. We top deck another Grudge. So we'll pass back. They go to combat, attacking in with the team, and before blocks, they terminate our Construct. So we'll turn their Goyf into an artifact, and we'll flash back our Grudge, killing it. And I don't think we'll block here. Oh, Fable is good. Yeah, we'll cast it out. They Unholy Heat our Goblin Shaman, and then they dash out a Ragavan, attacking in with everything, and we have to chump block with our Haywire Might. Ooh, we draw into a Saga. I don't think there's really any outs here. Yeah, we're dead. We're dead. Let's get on to sideboarding. We're gonna bring in a Relic and a Haywire Might for 2 Coatings. Game 2, our starter looks quite strong. We'll go turn 1 fetch Shock and play out a Haywire Might. They play out a Bloodstained Mire. We will Shock in another Stomping Grounds and play out another Haywire Might, attacking in for 1. They play out a Blackleaf Cliffs, and we're gonna play out our Sokinzon, and we're not gonna attack into a potential Bowmasters, and they do have it. They go straight to combat on their turn, poking us in for 1. And they have a Ren in 6 as well, taking up on their land, and they have a Haywire Might of their own, so I guess we have to build the Bowmasters. Ooh, we find a Ren in 6. That was a great draw. We'll play our Ren out, down tick on their Haywire Might, then play out a Saga. They down tick with the Ren, killing our Haywire Might, and then they dash out a Ragavan, attacking us. Oh, and they have another Bowmasters. This matchup seems so miserable. Hey, we find a Bull at least. We'll play out our Besage you, and then cast out a Karn, tick up on their treasure token. They tick up their Ren, getting Bloodstained Mire back, then they dash out a Ragavan. They attack us for 2 and our Karn for 3. Oh my god, they take a Fable off our top again. Then they bolt our Karn, unfortunate, and they play out our Fable. And I guess we need to bolt down this Bowmasters to even have a chance. And we find another Saga, so we will make a Construct, and then pick up a Haywire Might, play out another Saga. And at this point, we're just too far behind. They have a Fable. There's just no shot we could ever come back. So we end the league at 3-2. Not a bad showing. Well, I was quite happy with this brew. Definitely happy with the fact that it beat the One Ring decks every single time. That was the matchup that I was focusing, and we got absolutely destroyed by Jun twice because, you know, we have a lot of things that need to work out. But overall, really sweet deck. Please consider leaving a like, comment, subscribe. I hope you all enjoyed the video, and I'll see you all in the next one.